At the beginning of the story, we see an American football match where a man named Nicky is sitting comfortably with his girlfriend Jess in the VIP stands. The match was ongoing, but Nicky was more focused on the crowd than the game. He saw a beautiful girl getting up from her seat, and at that moment a mischievous idea came to his mind. He made a small bet with Jess on how many people would turn to look at that girl. A man sitting there? Someone mentioned they were interested in participating in the wager, to which Nicky consented. Everyone humorously placed a $10 wager and began tallying. When the girl exited the stand, the ultimate count revealed that 7 individuals turned to glance at her. Jess estimated the nearest number. Thus, she won the wager. Without any reluctance, Nicky handed over the money and then proposed initiating the subsequent round. This time, the wager was on who would commit the forthcoming foul. Despite my complete lack of understanding of the game, Nicky eagerly entered the wager and placed a $1,000 bet. As soon as the whistle sounded, the referee indicated a foul, and the team Nicky had bet on was indeed correct. He won the wager and collected the money. Even after winning the bet, he became even more enthusiastic. He proposed placing a $5,000 wager this time. The question was whether they would pass the ball or run with it this time. Nicky was somewhat reluctant to engage in the $5,000 bet. He was about to leave but finally agreed. He guessed that they would run and Nicky said they would pass, and as soon as the whistle blew, the player actually ran with the ball. Because of this, Nicky lost $5,000. Nicky then decided that losing $5,000 wasn't a big deal. He suggested stopping and going for coffee, but Liu Yuan insisted. He said, "You're sitting in the VIP lounge, you have money, what's $5,000 to you? Play one more round, this time for $10,000. And finally, Nicky agreed. And now the question was whether this player would successfully make the next pass or not. Nicky predicted that yes, the pass would be made, but the other team intercepted it midway. Now Nicky had lost $15,000. As he was taking out the money, Nicky looked a bit worried. He thought for a moment and said, "Let's bet $50,000 this time." Hearing this, Just was surprised, but Nicky looked angry. At this moment, luck was not on his side. He lost the next bet again, after which he had to pay $50,000. Jaish quickly urged him to stop, but Nicky's anger and ego took over. Without thinking, he placed another bet. He was mocked for betting $100,000, with someone questioning if he even had that much. Nicky, without much talk, put a bundle of cash on the table. This got Liu Yan excited too. Nicky then bet the next pass would be intercepted. However, the pass was successful. Nicky had now lost hundreds of thousands. He couldn't figure out how to escape this mess. Jess was also quite astonished by his behavior, but at this point, the game had escalated to a significantly more challenging level. Nicky declared, "I have $1 million remaining. Let's wager it all and determine the winner. This time the outcome will be decided with cards." He had been winning consistently, so he was becoming ecstatic with joy. He began to perceive Nicky as an ATM machine. Livian drew his card, which turned out to be a 5. Nico merely needed to draw a card higher than 5. The odds of winning were considerably high. Nick picked up a card and He flipped over the card with great confidence, but it turned out to be a mere 3. Observing this, Jess instantly tumbled off her chair. When Nicky initiated the game, his intention was to wager merely $4,000. Yet by this point, he had lost in excess of $1 million. After enduring a humiliating defeat amounting to approximately $9,000, he found himself with nothing left to articulate. So he silently took hold of Jess's hand and began to guide her out. His heart felt exceedingly heavy, yet Leon continued to tease him. He remarked, "This is what happens when you play with a master, my son." Nicky paused and placed another bet of $2 million. Now the idea was a bit new. Nicky issued a challenge and Kian could choose any random player using binoculars, and if Nicky guessed the player's jersey number correctly, the win would be his. Liu-Yan was a bit confused by this. He said that this was a real mind-boggling situation. It seemed to him as if Nicky was shooting himself in the foot. He also had a slight suspicion that maybe Nicky was cheating. To address his suspicion, to accomplish this, Nicky declared, "Alright, I shall not make the guess this time. Instead, Jazz will." Jazz glared at Nicky with irritation. She was unable to comprehend what was transpiring. "What are the odds that the jersey number I mentioned will be the correct one?" Expressing this, she began to depart, but Liu Yuan's security guard intervened, and a minor altercation ensued between them, which she managed to pacify somewhat. Nicky instructed her, "Simply observe the field and state the number that resonates with you." She picked up the binoculars and selected a player, after which she thoroughly scanned the entire field. All she could perceive were jersey numbers scattered everywhere. How was she supposed to make a guess? Then her gaze landed on a familiar face, and she recalled Nikki's advice to choose the number that felt appropriate to her. Their friend Farhad was donning jersey number 55. Jess understood that this was all part of Nikki's strategy. She confidently stated number 55, and it turned out to be the precisely correct answer. Leon was utterly astonished by her response. Jess was momentarily bewildered about how Nikki had prior knowledge that Livian would choose that specific number, but at this juncture, it was inconsequential. They had secured the victory in the wager, earned a profit of $1 million, and recuperated all the previously lost funds. Departed from the stadium carrying 2 bags brimming with cash. Inside the vehicle, Nikki explained to Jess that everything was an integral component of their strategy. They had been monitoring him for an extended period. Indeed, Liu Yan was infamous within the community for his detrimental gambling addiction. He would eagerly seize any wager presented to him. Nikki's team had meticulously orchestrated this entire scheme. The moment Liu Yan exited his hotel room, the number 55 was subtly embedded in his subconscious awareness. The security guard, the number 55 was written there as well. On the way to the stadium, the signboards also had the same number, and they not only showed him this number but also made him hear it. While coming to watch the match, they played a song in Livian's car which repeatedly hinted at the number 55. That song had the sound of 55 appearing 124 times, which kept drawing Livian's mind towards that number. Additionally, he was shown a photo of Farhad, which created a visual memory for him when he was looking through the binoculars. Thus, his thoughts instinctively gravitated towards the number 55, and the moment Jaish laid eyes on Farhad, he uttered 55. Jaish had been kept in the dark beforehand to ensure his reactions would be entirely authentic throughout the entire game, guaranteeing that no one would suspect their intentions. Upon hearing all of this, Jaish was thoroughly impressed by Nikki. The narrative then shifts back a few days. Merely a few days earlier, Nikki found himself in a room, lying on a bed, with a man aiming a gun at his head. Seated nearby was Jas, whom he had encountered just a short while before. It was unmistakably evident that someone had ensnared Nikki, yet there wasn't even a hint of fear on his face. He straightforwardly declared that he didn't possess a single penny, and if they intended to shoot, they could proceed. The man wielding the gun comprehended his reactions and promptly identified him. This individual is a player, a more significant con artist than us, and his assumption was entirely accurate. Nick is an exceptional con artist who executes minor thefts with great skill. As soon as she was escorted into this particular room, and she observed an inherent talent in Jaise, although she didn't fully comprehend it at that moment. Once the man with the firearm departed, Nikki informed Jaise that she possessed a remarkable gift, and if she refined her ability to deceive individuals, she could enjoy a comfortable life indefinitely. Nikki explained that it was their familial trade. Her father, his father, they were all conventional con artists. Every trick, every grain of rice was familiar to them, and without hesitating, she produced some money and mentioned that, "I want to learn from you." And Nikki didn't see the need to waste any time either. On the way out, Nikki had even stolen a ring, and she didn't even realize it. By the time she understood what had happened, her watch was already gone, and when she put the watch in her handbag, Nikki had already taken her wallet. After all these antics, Nikki said that all you need is sleight of hand, some typing, and a bit of style for this job. On that particular day, Nikki uttered nothing beyond a simple farewell to him. Several months afterward, Jaish encountered her in the bustling city of New Orleans, where Nikki had begun assembling a fresh team. Their encounter was essentially a test to determine if Jaish was deserving of becoming a part of their group. Upon Jaish's agreement, Nikki dispatched her to the fair alongside a fellow team member. This day marked Jas's inaugural practical assignment. She was clutching a map and inquiring people for directions. Meanwhile, her partner discreetly The tourist's camera lens was stolen. Then another partner deliberately bumped into a man and Jaish took his wallet. Jaish was starting to gain a bit of confidence in her pickpocketing style. She used chopsticks to lift a wallet from another woman's bag, and everything was so smooth that no one suspected a thing. Nikki was watching all this from the top of a building. He told the team to leave her alone. Now it was her time to soar. They commenced pilfering high-priced items consecutively, and with each successful theft, Nikki's admiration for them increased. Subsequently, Nikki dispatched them on another significant mission. This time, it involved a technological deception. Utilizing specialized lenses, they were able to observe others' cards and effortlessly outmaneuver their adversaries. Additionally, there was a mechanism for purloining credit cards. The card would be surreptitiously taken and discreetly transferred to a fellow team member, where a device would replicate its data, and then the card would be returned to the original pocket. The card would discreetly slip back into the original pocket. By the time anyone became aware, the entire account would have been completely emptied. Another elaborate scam involved a counterfeit ATM machine. Whenever someone attempted to withdraw money, the machine would automatically record their PIN, and then the machine would be quietly removed to extract all the stored data. All the credit cards were meticulously categorized separately, used to acquire luxury items, and eventually their data was sold on the black market. One day, an individual noticed an exquisite necklace and decided to wear it, but Nikki insisted that it be removed at once. She firmly explained that everything had to be sold. Nothing should be personal for us. It was the first time witnessing such a large-scale scam. Standing amidst the heap of stolen goods felt different. The following day, Chase and Farhad were wandering in an affluent area. Their task was to act. Farhad pretended to faint and just started shouting and acting. "Please, someone help us, please," was a kind of distraction. The rest of the team took advantage by stealing valuables from the wealthy nearby, and then the entire team hid in an ambulance and escaped. Everything was so well planned that no one could figure it out. That night, they all celebrated together. Nikki praised everyone because they had earned $1.2 million in just 1 week. The next day, all the team members were going to part ways. All the documents were destroyed. Everyone was assured that within a few days their money would be deposited into their bank accounts. However, the old members knew that Nikki still had one last mission remaining. They gave her $1.2 million in cash. He additionally cautioned Jaish against squandering it all in gambling activities. The following morning, Nikki accompanied Jess. Within the VIP lounge of the stadium, he orchestrated quite an impressive show in front of Jess and illustrated how we could potentially earn millions of dollars within just a few minutes. By that time, Jess was beginning to fall somewhat in love with Nikki. She started to feel as though she was Nikki's girlfriend, which is why he was revealing all this to her. However, from the very beginning, Nikki had involved her in his group solely to deceive her. When everything concluded, Nikki handed her $80,000. He gave her $80,000 and finally said goodbye. Tears welled up in her eyes as she looked at him. Her heart was broken. On one hand, she had truly fallen in love with Nikki. On the other hand, she felt that $80,000 was too little because Nikki had just made $1 million. But in Nikki's world, there was no place for emotions, only celebrations. She had now seen his true colors. About 3 years later, we see a race car pulling into a service station, and soon we spot Nikki there as well. Her eyes appeared exhausted, and it was evident from her expression that the funds were dwindling. During the midday meal, she had a discussion with Garia, the proprietor of her racing car team. Garia's research division had devised an innovative algorithm named SAR, but they aimed to refine it to boost their probability of success. For this purpose, they enlisted Nikki. The strategy was relatively straightforward. Nikki would impersonate their lead engineer. Subsequently, they would create the illusion that there was a connection between him and Garia. The plan was to trap the other teams in their scheme. After that, Nikki would sell a fake version of the EXR. The rival team would use it, while Garia's team would use the real system, ensuring their victory. According to the deal, Nikki was supposed to earn 1 million euros. The earnings from selling the fake system would also be his. Nikki thought this job was a joke. He could pull off such a simple scam in his sleep, but Garia's butler didn't trust him at all. He directly threatened Nikki, saying that if anything went wrong, "If you make a mistake, I will shoot you directly in the chest." Nikki donned a tuxedo and proceeded to attend an evening gathering. Their strategy was to initiate a confrontation amidst the crowd. However, their scheme unraveled when Jazz made her entrance. She gracefully descended the staircase in a crimson dress and immediately embraced Garia. Witnessing this, Nikki's mind was utterly blown. He hadn't encountered Jazz in 3 years, and now she was with another person, and that person was the very man who had employed Nikki. She approached Nikki and stated that she is no longer involved in con artistry and that whatever transpired 3 years ago is irrelevant now. She also mentioned that Garia is unaware of the previous relationship between her and Nikki and suggested that it would be preferable if it remains undisclosed. Hearing all this, Nikki's blood boiled. She picked up the vodka glass and emptied it in one go. Earlier, she needed to act to fight, but now her blood was already boiling and she had a fierce argument in front of everyone. This drama was very much liked by the rival racing team. Soon, security escorted her out of the party, but now she had the driver's team business card in her hand. The next morning, Nikki met with the owner of the McLaren team. She straightforwardly stated that it would cost 3 million euros. The XR system. I want to. The race car owner had no shortage of money, so there was no need for bargaining. They immediately tested the track, and seeing the results, the owner's face lit up. Nikki assured that the entire software would be delivered in 48 hours. On the other hand, Farhad, whom Nikki had sent, met Jess on the street and told her that it was necessary for Nikki to leave 3 years ago. They had no choice. He said that Nikki still loves Jess and handed her a box. Inside the box was the identical necklace that Jess had always adored. There was no assurance as to whether it was genuine or counterfeit, but that was irrelevant. The sight of the necklace softened Jess's heart. Even though she claimed she couldn't place her trust in Nikki, her eyes conveyed a different narrative. She still harbored feelings for him. Eventually, the day of the transaction arrived, and Nikki transferred the software to the McLaren team owner. In exchange, a burly man presented him with 3 million euros. Nikki's disposition was such that he never engaged in work without embracing risks. He clandestinely sold a duplicate of the software to every racing team. With each handshake with new champions, he amassed millions, and no one discerned that everyone possessed the identical system until the race commenced. That evening, rather than fleeing, Nikki sent a message to Jess. If she arrived promptly, they could abscond together. Nikki lingered, but no one appeared. At the final moment, when he was on the verge of surrendering and departing, but just as she arrived, it wasn't time to run yet, because at that very moment, the same burly man who had given him 3 million euros on behalf of the McLaren team appeared in front of Nikki. In reality, he was one of Garia's men. Now he had uncovered the truth that Nikki had dispatched the genuine software, not a counterfeit version. He wasn't concerned with Garia's 1 million euros in the slightest. Now, fully prepared, he intentionally collided with Nikki's vehicle. Following the serious accident, both individuals were apprehended and restrained, with all the money laid out before Garia. Garia was extremely furious due to Nikki's deeds. He had invested a substantial 40 million euros in developing this program, and now everything was utterly destroyed. Everything was completely ruined. The most significant issue was that Garia couldn't comprehend how Nikki successfully managed to steal the authentic software. When Nikki refused to disclose any information, Garia pinched Jess's nose, causing her to struggle for breath, and Nikki broke down upon witnessing this. He confessed everything, explaining that he rekindled Jess's old feelings for him and presented her with a necklace containing a special chip inside. As soon as Garia opened the software, Nikki utilized that necklace to steal his password and data. Upon hearing this, his heart shattered. Tears began cascading from his eyes, and Garia, along with his men, commenced laughing. They found the story amusing, yet they didn't trust Nikki. Garia remarked that he truly didn't possess a girlfriend. "I am aware she was with me solely for the money," he stated. Meanwhile, Jess confessed that she merely intended to pilfer his collection of luxurious watches. Nikki was astonished that Jess feigned affection for Garia merely to spite him. Now, both of them were ensnared. Garia didn't waste much time and inquired of Butcher how Nikki managed to steal the software. How did he steal it? As soon as Nikki started speaking, Butcher fired a shot. The bullet went straight into Nikki's chest. Garia's face turned pale. He panicked and told Butcher that money can be earned back, but if I get caught up in a murder, my life is over. He immediately dismissed Butcher and fled from the warehouse. Just was crying a lot, but Buchan said there was no need to worry. He was actually Nikki's man, and to tell the truth, he was his father. The real father intentionally aimed the bullet to the side of the heart. He utilized adhesive tape to seal the wound, extracted blood with a syringe, and stabilized the atmospheric pressure within his chest cavity. Suddenly, Nikki's eyes fluttered open once more. He was still very much alive. This action was somewhat reckless, yet it proved effective. A substantial pile of money lay behind them, and the trio departed. Nikki was, in fact, an orphan, and it was this very butler who had raised him. He imparted all these skills of thievery to Nikki. The rule was to never become emotionally involved, but now Nikki appeared to genuinely be in love. The butler dropped both of them off by the roadside and took all the money with him. Nikki didn't get anything. But on the way to the hospital, Nikki noticed that the watch worth 200,000 euros from Garia was on his wrist. They looked at each other and smiled. With their trickery and sleight of hand this year, they won't go hungry in any corner of the world. If you liked the video, please like it and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.